What's up guys, I hope everyone is doing well, and as you can see here in the background, my gaming rig is finally up and running, and if I do say so myself, I think it looks absolutely stunning. So I know you guys did see all of the RGB goodness, but if you are not an RGB fan, then don't be hitting those comment sections up just yet, as I run this system with an all white setup, and boy does it look absolutely stunning, as Corsair seem to have totally nailed white, especially on RGB. But it's also nice that I can go ahead and change the colour of the PC up just whenever I feel like it, so that's definitely a massive bonus. So if you missed part 1 of this video, I went through all the parts that I used in this system and it goes into great detail on those, so I will leave that linked down below, so be sure to check that out. But just in case you can't be bothered or you have forgotten what is in the system, let's just do a quick overview. Okay, so first up we have the MSI Z270 X-Power Titanium, and that is paired with an i7 7700K. We have two MSI GTX 1080 Armor and SLI, 32GB of Corsair RGB RAM, an H100i version 2 to cool the CPU, and a load of Corsair HD RGB fans connected up to Corsair's Commander Pro, and of course the case itself is Corsair's 570X, and boy does this look stunning. Okay, so just before we jump into the benchmarks and I show you guys how good this performs, I did promise you in the last video that I would show you the Commander Pro up and running, and that basically allows me to sync all of the fans, RGB strips, RGB RAM etc, and make sure that everything is colour coordinated etc. So let's jump in and take a little look at it. So when you have everything installed, all you have to do is go ahead and download Corsair's Link 4 software. Okay, so as you would expect, in here you can go ahead and set up each individual fan or strip to a separate colour, or you can go ahead and link them all together like I have done. You can also go ahead and use different effects as you have seen on RGB products many times before, but using this software, this allows you to set up a different effect for each component that you have, so you can have every fan in the system running a different effect if you wish, or as I said, you can go ahead and link them all together, whatever is your preference. So just briefly, the Corsair Link 4 software also allows you to set up custom fan profiles, monitor your system and check things like temps, timings, voltages, etc, and all that great stuff. It is definitely a great piece of software and I am enjoying it so far. You can also control your RGB RAM from here, and the same rules apply. You can set static colours up or apply a host of different effects. The great thing here is that every single component from fan to one individual RAM stick can be controlled individually and set up as you wish. So really, when it comes to customization, the sky is the limit, and the only thing holding you back is of course your imagination. Okay, so enough of this small talk. How well does this beast actually perform? Well, just to let you guys know, I managed to overclock my 7700K to 5GHz with no trouble at all, and the H100i keeps it totally cool with no issues. I also went ahead and overclocked both the GPUs with a +177 on the core and a +600 on the memory clocks, and temps hit a max of around 80 degrees while under heavy stress from benchmarks, but in game they sat in the 60s, so no issues there at all. So let's go ahead and start with the generic benchmark scores. In Firestrike Ultra, which is the 4K version, I managed to get a score of 9,913 with a graphics score of 10,473, so not too terrible at all. Moving on to Unity Heaven, I set the quality to Ultra, tessellation was set to normal, AA was at X2, and I ran it at a resolution of 2560 by 1440. Again, the score was very impressive, coming in at 4146 with an average FPS of 164.6, so definitely pretty awesome. Okay, so on to the most important part now, and that is of course gaming. First off, as always, we jump into GTA 5, and I set everything to very high, MSAA to ×4, FXAA was on, and shadows was set to softest. The game played super smooth and I achieved an average FPS of 109 at 1440p, and bumping it up to 4K saw the FPS drop to around 64, so with a few extra settings tweaks you could definitely bump the FPS up way higher. Moving on to Doom, I tested it in OpenGL on the Nightmare preset with a TSS AA at 8TX, and at 1440p I seen an average frame rate of 138, while at 4K I achieved 61 FPS, so again super smooth gameplay to be had. Next up on the list is Rise of the Tomb Raider. I ran this on DX12 with the very high preset, and at 1440p I saw an average of 178 FPS, while switching over to 4K seeing it drop to 94, which I was definitely impressed with. Moving on to the popular Metro Last Light benchmark, I used the very high settings with SSAA turned off, and at 1440p the frame rates averaged around 148, while at 4K we seen them drop to around 89. Okay, so last up on the list is my favourite game of the moment, and that is of course PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Just remember that this game isn't totally optimised at the minute, as it pretty much is still in beta, but for the settings everything was set to ultra except foliage and shadows, which are set to low due to the advantage gained in game with these settings. FPS wise at 1440p I was averaging around 92, while at 4K it dropped to around 58. Overall this game is still playable at 4K, but I definitely prefer the higher frame rate at 1440p. Okay, so as you can see my new gaming PC performs absolutely perfect, and I'm definitely happy with it. A load of you were commenting on the last video asking why I didn't just buy a 1080 Ti or use two 1080 Ti's, and the simple answer is because I had these in-house and I didn't want to go ahead and buy new graphics cards. And all the games that I play scale in SLI absolutely fine, so it made my life a lot easier, and honestly I think it looks absolutely stunning, especially with the MSI SLI bridge and all the other components etc. So let me know what you think down below. So just as a side note, obviously a load of people were also asking where my 5820K editing PC went. Well, my 5820K is actually dead. Rest in peace. So I will be building a Ryzen 1700 system for all my editing needs, which is coming up on the channel very soon, and I will be water cooling it, but just the CPU. And before anyone asks why I'm not doing the GPU, it's basically because I use Sony Vegas and it just utilises the CPU pretty much, so I don't really need to cool the GPU when it's not really getting utilised. So that pretty much rounds it up, guys. Let me know what you think of my new gaming PC down below in the comments section. I will be modifying this case shortly as well, so I will probably have to take it all apart, but that's definitely going to be a pretty cool video series. So as always guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe, be kind to each other, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.